Welcome to week 4 of the MLS season. Today we're going to be breaking down all the action that is coming up this weekend. We'll get you some good matchups, some bad matchups, some players to start, some players to sit, and we will go on from there. So we're going to hop straight in. We're going to try to keep this as short and sweet as possible because I do have a project that I have to do here later. But we're going to hop straight into the video. So you can see the spreadsheet. I'm going to go through and just highlight a couple things here. So the Friday night game, San Jose against RSL, should be a pretty good game. San Jose has been playing really well recently, as has RSL. Both have had really nice starts to the season. It'll be exciting to see those two teams go head to head. Matchup wise, numbers wise, only really the RSL players in the back line may have a little bit of trouble. But this should be a pretty exciting game. San Jose is always fun to watch, so if you're up on Friday night, definitely worth the watch there. Philadelphia and Chicago. Now, these are two teams who are sort of struggling outside of Philadelphia crushing Atlanta in the Champions League. Philadelphia in the actual MLS has kind of struggled a little bit, and Chicago thought they would be a lot better than they have been so far. They've been really shipping a lot of goals, so got to get that defense straightened out. But regardless, this should be pretty good. Pretty good matchup, pretty solid. Not a whole lot either way in this one. We do like Bobby Shuttleworth's matchup in this game. Andre Blake gets the tough matchup facing Robert Barrich. So be interesting to see if he can play well. He's been on fire recently, so we'll see if he can keep that up. Andre Blake. Next, New York Red Bulls against Toronto. Red Bulls are always a pretty tough matchup. Toronto's been banged up, so the Red Bulls actually have a pretty decent matchup. The numbers say that a lot of scoring should take place on the Red Bull side, not as much on the Toronto side. I kind of feel like this game could be a little bit more even than that. It is Chris Armas going back to New York Red Bulls, where he was coach for a long time. I have a feeling he's going to have his guys pumped up. Also, coming off that loss last night in the Champions League, Toronto won't be resting any more players or anything like that. It is all MLS from here on in for Toronto. So, New York Red Bulls, they do get a couple plus matchups, though, in this game. Kyle Duncan, Sean Nealis, Aaron Long, and Sean Davis. On the flip side, Toronto has some bad matchups, and that would be the goalkeeper, Alex Bono, and Chris Mavinga. For the Columbus DC United game, both these two teams have been pretty defensive early on, so you should kind of expect a little more of a defensive game. So that means not a lot of scoring in the midfield, not a lot of scoring at the forward. For some reason, the DC United continues to get a very low score against them for goalkeepers. I guess they just don't take a lot of shots, so they don't really give goalkeepers the opportunity to rack anything up. So if you are going to start, I have Eloy Room here on the bad matchup list. He's one of the better goalkeepers typically. If you are going to start him, though, you're really relying on him shutting out DC. If DC scores a goal, he's probably not going to be putting up a pretty decent number. It'll probably be in the 40s tops, I'd say. So you're really relying on him getting that shutout. You can see some of the other negative matchups that we have here. Artur has struggled early in the season from a Sorare perspective. Nagby coming off of an injury. We'll see. Columbus also does play later tonight, so they may be a little bit of tired legs. They play, I believe they play Monterrey later tonight in Mexico City. But Yamil Assad for DC United and Russell Canals. Both have had decent starts to the season. Canales actually missed the last game, so we'll have to see if he's back. I saw him. I watch a lot of DC United like training videos. I did see him training, so hopefully he's able to go against Columbus. But we don't expect to have a great matchup. He's normally a pretty decent player, so maybe just temper expectations a little bit on that one. Nashville against New England. Now Nashville's forward is Cadiz. He doesn't have a card, so no notable matchups here. Vancouver and Montreal. Vancouver's had a really nice start to the season. I've really been impressed with their defense. I did a video the other day highlighting their goalkeeper, Maxi Crepeau, but this week I think their defense and their midfield has a chance to be pretty decent. All three of these guys are actually defensive, I believe. Christian Gutierrez, Jake Nowinski, and Andy Rose right along the back line. Montreal has been really good as far as scoring goals, but they haven't put teams under a lot of pressure. They've had, I don't know if you would call it lucky goals, but maybe hard to score goals is the right word. they've had very low percentage chance of actually scoring when they have scored their goals. So while they have put in some, put some goals in the back of the net, they haven't really been producing real dangerous situations that we think could kind of come long term. Montreal, one of those teams, even though they're off to a pretty good start, we don't think that they're going to be very good long term. Although we do like some of their players. I do like Georgi Mihailovic. I think he's a big upgrade for them. Dallas against Houston. So this one again is going to go more defensive as far as the scoring goes. So for Dallas, we could see nice games from Matt Hedges and Bresnan. Bresnan had a great game the first week. He put up a full 100. And then for Houston, we could see Adam Lundqvist and Tim Parker have pretty decent games. I also like Joe Corona has had a good start to the season here for Houston. I like him coming over from the LA Galaxy. I've liked what I've seen from him in Tab Ramos' system. And then Matias Vera has also had a decent start to the season. All of those guys have decent matchups, so we should continue to expect to see more of the same from them in this game. Orlando and New York City FC. Orlando defense and the NYCFC forwards. I didn't actually add an NYCFC forward here, but Orlando's defense has Antonio Carlos and Kyle Smith. Not really struggling so much. Orlando's been really, really good, but they just have such high bars to hit that it may be a little bit tough against an NYCFC attack that has been pretty good to start the season. And they've been playing some pretty decent teams as well and putting up some numbers. So we'll expect to see the Orlando defense not necessarily struggle, but maybe not put up as high a bar as they are used to putting up. LA Galaxy and LAFC, El Trafico should be absolutely fun to watch. I really can't wait to get this thing going. I'm excited to see Diego Rossi. He is averaging, I think, a 58. So realistically, he needs to score or assist in this game. This is a huge, big game against the LA Galaxy. I can't see him not scoring or assisting. He's just too good, and this is too big a game for him to not show up. LA Galaxy likes to have a lot of possession. So with the LAFC press, that means that they're going to get caught in possession a lot, which is really good for these guys, Latif Blessing, Corey Baird, and Mark Anthony Kay. Kind of not the guys that go forward the most, but the guys that are going to be intercepting those passes and winning those duels when they get lobbed over the top. Baird may be a little bit further forward than the other two. Colorado against Minnesota. So we do like the Colorado forwards. Diego Rubio had a really nice free kick goal, I believe, in the last game. So he's off to a good start. We'll like to see him continue that. And then Cole Bassett and Jack Price on the other side. They just, again, well, with Price specifically, he has such a high bar to hit that in a tough matchup against Minnesota, they are actually pretty good in the midfield. So they don't get run over very often. Jack Price is really going to be reliant on either scoring or assisting in this game in order to rack up his usual very good afternoon. And then Cole Bassett's had a really poor start to the season. He may not even be starting if we're honest. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. He was touted over the offseason as a potentially a wonderful player. So potentially U.S. men's national team player. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye on him. He's not been good so far. Atlanta against Miami. Oddly enough, Miami doesn't make any list so far this year. But Atlanta is a little weaker against the forwards, a little better against the defenders. So we want to see Rodolfo Pizarro kind of break out a little bit. He has had another kind of slow start to the season, but they paid a lot of money to get him from, I think he came from Monterrey. They paid a lot of money to get him. He's a full Mexican international. He's a good, talented player. They've got players there as well that are talented. So definitely he could be, he could be one to watch as we kind of move forward here and try to break out. Calvin Leardam and Lewis Morgan maybe coming down a little bit off of their averages. Lewis Morgan specifically, I went and looked at his numbers. He really doesn't put up a lot of actual all-around score numbers. Maybe the last 10 weeks of the season last year, he put up an absolutely ridiculous amount of goals and assists. He was scoring or assisting pretty much every single game, which really inflated his scores and made him look a little bit better than maybe he was. So you're starting to see him come down off of that and kind of return to normal. So I like Lewis Morgan to not hit his number. Portland and Seattle. So an interesting game here, a big rivalry game. So if you haven't ever watched Seattle and Portland, it's an absolute blast to watch. And this one will be in Portland. Hopefully, they'll have some fans there. I don't know their stadium situation, but hopefully, they'll have fans there because that would make it even more interesting. But to start here, Portland plays later tonight. They could have a little bit of tired legs. Probably going to end up getting knocked out tonight from the Champions League, so they may not have the best morale either. Going up against a Seattle team that is on fire to start the season. They were on fire last year going into the MLS Cup playoffs. So Seattle has been running a gauntlet. They've been playing some good teams and crushing them. So we look forward to seeing them beat Portland again. I would say I would think Seattle should beat Portland in this game, even though it's at Portland. But it's a rivalry game, so you never know what's going to happen with this thing. So the good matchups here, we do like Stefan Fry. We do like Nohu Tolo. And then the bad matchups, I don't know what's going on with Jeff Antonelli. I don't know why he didn't start last weekend. I really haven't seen anything come out that say he's not going to start. So I don't know if they were just resting him for tonight, maybe. But I'll have to check and see if he actually plays tonight. I would assume he starts this game, but honestly, I don't know anymore with Portland. I mean, Steve Clark, I thought was going to be out for 5 minutes, and he ends up he's been out for like a month and a half. So we'll see with him. The other guys, Bill Tuiloma, Diego Chara, and Yimi Chara. Specifically, Diego Chara here. There's a non-zero chance that he gets a red card in this game. He's like first or second all time in MLS in red cards, and this is a big rivalry game. So there are going to be high emotions. People are going to be flying around. Diego Chara is a guy to watch, potentially getting a red card, so which would absolutely, obviously, ruin your score there with Diego Chara. So definitely keep an eye on him. And lastly, I believe this is the only game on Sunday, Austin and Sporting Kansas City. So Austin is actually out of the negatives here for for two of the four categories. They still have bad matchups for goalkeeper and for forward. So that means Sporting Kansas City can take advantage of a matchup against Austin. So John Pulskamp, maybe a decent time to start him. I don't know how many other starts he's going to get. Kiri Shelton and Alan Polito, both expect them to do pretty well moving forward. Polito, I would expect to I think he's going to score again in this game. Scored last week, starting to come on, he started last week, which was obviously good. Started the season a little bit banged up. So now, game 4, he's got to start under his belt. He's got a goal under his belt. I think now is the time we see him start to really show his class and his quality. On the other side, Sporting Kansas City's midfield may have a little trouble because Austin is actually pretty decent in the midfield. They can keep possession pretty well. They do win a lot of the 50-50 balls, so we're looking at Gadi Kinda and Gianluca Busio, who I love as a player, but who makes the hate list this week. So that's going to be it for the video today. Appreciate the feedback from you guys. If you have any ideas for any videos you want to see, definitely let me know. The schedule's a little bit busy right now. Got a lot of different things lined up. We are going to be continuing part 2 of our series on the scoring system. Hopefully be able to get that out a little bit later this weekend. But I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But until the next time, Vamos United.